Good evening and welcome to another edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you in association with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services. They are implementers and operators of the Integrated Customs Management System Icums at the ports. Remember, the program is also streamed live on our social media handles, Facebook and YouTube at Iron Port Ghana. You can get there and watch us. Along the line, we shall be activating the phone lines for you to call in, and then you can make whatever contribution you have to make. If you have questions based on today's subject, you'll be permitted to do so. Remember, our WhatsApp line is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. You can send us your text messages, and we shall read them to the rest of the world. The abridged version of Iron Port is also shown every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona. We'll be back after this break.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
You're welcome back. Remember, our media partner on this show is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to know all that transpired on this show tonight, make a date and grab a copy of the Thursday edition of the Business and Financial Times, and you'll be brought abreast with all that transpired here on the show. Now, we would have to take a look at some of the happenings in the port and maritime industry in the course of the week, and we woke up once again to the sad news of yet another piracy attack in which some 5 experts, again, were abducted. This brings to 2 the number of pirate attacks within a space of 2 weeks. This recent one took place in the waters of Benin. Again, the TAKORADI port also organized a passing out ceremony for some security personnel who passed out, went on a training and passed out. And indeed, the Shippers Authority also organized a sensitization and education program for some transit truck drivers and owners in the port of Tema. Let's take a look at these stories.
4 Koreans and a Filipino have been abducted from a Ghanaian registered fishing vessel in another piracy incident in the Gulf of Guinea, Benin waters to be specific. The latest incident, which happened on May 31, 2021, between the hours of 1910 to 1945, saw 6 pirates armed with AK-47 rifles board the commercial fishing vessel Irish 3 through her starboard side. Narrating the event, the second officer Mark Afedi-Mensah said, hours prior to the attack, they spotted an unidentified tanker near the horizon but could not at the time establish whether that was a mother vessel of the pirates or not. He said the darkness combined with the tactics deployed by the pirates made it impossible for them to deploy evasive maneuvers.
They came from behind the net, so no one knows exactly the time and when they bang on us. And moreover, over there was total darkness.
An assigned observer from the Fisheries Commission said, though no crew member was harmed, the pirates, during their short stay, disabled the vessel's automatic identification system and rummaged the cabins of the vessel for crew's belongings.
According to the bridge boy, he said they asked the captain that where's the money? If he has money, they will leave them. But the captain told him that at least this is our first trip, and then we just say so there's no money on board, and then it's a fishing vessel. What they said that they are not here for us, they are only here for the Koreans. That's what they said.
The Navy, after receiving information on the attack, guided the vessel to the port of Tema in the early hours of June 1. Investigation on the crew kidnapping are still ongoing. This is the second piracy incident on a Ghanaian vessel in less than 2 weeks, as it would be recalled that another fishing vessel, Atlantic Princess, was also attacked 65 nautical miles south of Tema, indicating an expansion of the range of pirates. The Ghana Shippers Authority, in collaboration with its stakeholders in the trade and transport industry, has held a sensitization workshop for haulage truck drivers and owners on key issues that impact the conduct of transit trade along Ghana's corridors. Key among the issues discussed include road safety, the transportation of dangerous and hazardous cargo, as well as the haulage truck driver's role in avoiding unnecessary costs in the shipment of transit cargo through Ghana's ports. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, in a speech read on her behalf, said quarterly fact-finding missions embarked upon by her outfit on the transit corridor unearthed serious infractions of Ghana's road traffic regulations, police harassment, and malpractices at the axle load stations.
The outcome of the latest fact-finding trip, which was done only last week, on the Tema-Hamley corridor, recorded 55 police and MTTD stops.
The General Manager in charge of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Esther Jebidonko, who served as the chairperson for the program, said the reformation process of the Joint Association of Port Transport Unions, embarked on by GPHA and the Shippers Authority, is intended to improve unity and effectiveness among the transport unions.
The Port Authority would not license any transport union to operate in the ports if it is not part of JAC2 arrangements. It is practically impossible for the Port Authority and indeed other stakeholders to deal with individual transport unions to achieve policy objectives in the operations and management of our port economy.
She said, with the Port Authority making necessary investments in the transit trade, such as the construction of the truck park at Paga border, the onus lies on other stakeholders within the trade, such as the truck drivers, to adhere to security and operational guidelines at the ports in order to be competitive. With the help of demonstrations, the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Road Safety Authority underscored the importance of following safety guidelines for the protection of drivers, cargo, society, and the environment. The Executive Secretary of the Joint Association of Port Transport Unions, Ibrahim Musa, said the issues discussed will inure to the enhancement of their operations. The Director of the Port of TAKORADI, Captain Ebenezer Afeidi, has stated that Ghana's ports are committed to ensuring its human resource have the requisite capacity necessary for the delivery of world-class services to its clients. The Director of Port, who was speaking during a passing out ceremony of 72 security personnel, said it is in this light that the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority organizes regular and mandatory training programs for its new recruits.
Today's ceremony signifies Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority's commitment to uphold and fulfill its national and international obligations for ensuring world-class standards of security in its port facilities.
The 72 recruits successfully passed out following a month-long intensive training at the 2nd Naval Base, where they obtained the essential physical preparedness and intellectual skills for the discharge of duties as security personnel at Ghana's premier port. Captain Afezi admonished the recruits to always exhibit the GPHA core values of humility, integrity, and hard work in the discharge of their duties.
You have been taken through voice procedure, drill, physical training, port security ethics, and other academic courses. These, in no doubt, have equipped you with the requisite knowledge, skills, and confidence to be able to effectively discharge your duties as port security staff.
You're welcome back, and those were some happenings within the week in the port and maritime industry. Before I introduce my guest to you and we zoom into the discussion for today, it's time for us to go for the GOIL TV market. Remember, the GOIL TV market is about showcasing the products and services of one of our lead sponsors, GOIL Company Limited, and this week's edition comes to you right from the Ashanti region. Enjoy.
GOIL, in the service of the nation.
Stations are what middle belt, service station, filling station. You can't even my 71. That is small mine Ghana. You cover Ashanti region, any part of Bono. You free Kumasi, that is Greater Kumasi, and as your first acquaintance, so you could do Yaji. If you Kumasi Asosona, you conquer, you call Echo could do Yakui into Upe filling station, as a service station be a walk on the Swa, and the middle belt, or call Boise, and so free Kumasi ha. Near call Echo do Dunka on offing. And Norma Bibri and a tongue, Kumasi Aso free ha, now say, oh, Cosunan Swa, middle belt Echo could do a Buakwa. GOIL Super SP Road 95 and a tongue across the nation and Yamido Belton Kwa GOIL filling station and service station Bubiano, a tongue Super SP Road 95 and a tongue diesel XP and so GOIL filling station and service station Bia.
So see you na yede ban papa ansani amafan na yede aba so lebi ya hanso a ansana yede ntan ko lebi ya chef esa papa ansani yede ya lebi ya ba station ho yede ba station ho ya ansana na wo station ho no so obeyi adu fomo tank ni ono nso hwese de kan ne de aba no papa ansan wa yede wagye apart from that machine for station hwese uwa na yede be o na ogu for no yi gu for no enu an o mu bu so yede e de amamo de bia be so bia yede o dia no 95 na yede SP3 to me a draw girl at the stop and it's on our Super XP little XP3 and the boom but flow yeah necessary so with the treaty other OMCs na omunti you know across na wetu bo ho area ma omunti onoma obeya Sansu na safu no se eko kamwa e how engine SPC additive na e wo go fu no e nyama bebre se wo to ifu wo go la wonya e faso bebre wo ka no se e fu use ya e reduce the amount se ensure e wo fu no ma e chin e fi no ma e clean injectors ma e sansu e ma more mileage. But when you go through and look at India, what the car in Nama, it's not a car, it's here every day. India, the amount of times you can learn your better time. I'm a talk, well, but who can in Antiana? He had a master. Road 95 for no, Faso Benano, and the SP3 no, a man here extra power, times 3. Not to say, a bonanza, and I'm whenever extra bonanza. Yo, now where the Matthew na Mupa, Maka Serumiano, and yes, but we are for.
You won't say, go no, would you go, okay, more system no, come. At times, I need to injectors, injectors in here, but me used to go no. In farmer, you be uncle, baby, as I'm a copy injectors. Because me too quite diana, I am a meba, I can't see her, the poor, and a meba. Yes, me recommend more beer. So, car who used to piano. The best food I meet my, I recommend your way. Go.
Me used to go food, no, my whole difference be pray. I was driving a human. First, na me used to cocoa be, but me used to cocoa, say, na me engine now. Then we say baby pray. But me used to go food, no. My who say, and we see no a matter. Ana essence so maka, egane. Ana essence so ye, kamu engine mu effing. National, you were stations in about 450, I have 460. Maybe I could be an Ubenya Super SP 95, Ubenya Diesel SP 95.
North, south, east, and west, we always stand for the best. Goil, goil, goil.
You're welcome back, and that was the Goil TV Market, which came to you from the Kasi service station all the way from the Ashanti region, that's the regional capital, Kumasi. Now, on the 1st of June 2020, we implemented the Integrated Customs Management System, that's the Icums, in the port. Now, this was after it had received a lot of resistance from some stakeholders in the industry. They thought that this would not add anything new to the already existing system or what had already been deployed in the port. But 1 year down the line, the story seems to have changed, with many alluding to the fact that indeed it has helped in terms of revenue mobilization and in terms of trade facilitation in particular. Is that really the verdict? Tonight, that's what we are assessing on the show. I have with me in the studios to my right, Mr. Emmanuel Ohene. He is the Deputy Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority in charge of the suspense regimes. He's also the Icums Implementation Committee Chairman. And to my right is Mr. Yauche. Mr. Yauche is the President of the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG. He's also an astute freight forwarder with several decades of service to this country in this particular industry. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Let me announce to listeners that along the line, we shall be hearing from the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Indeed, when we're planning for this particular program, we had to go and speak to him for a few minutes and get his assessment of the system so far and whether he's satisfied with what the GRA has achieved with the system. And so we'll be hearing from him, and we shall also be hearing from officials of Icoms, that's Ghana Link Network Services. We shall be speaking to the operations director of that company. They rolled out this particular system. And so it's a packed program tonight, and I wish you stay and enjoy it. Remember, I announced to you that our WhatsApp line, for which you can send your text messages to, is 0559-019-177. We'll be glad to pick your text messages and read them. And along the line, you'll also have the opportunity of calling in. I'll announce the phone lines when the time is due. So let me start with you, Mr. Ohene. You must be a satisfied man, a man who led the charge, the hurly-burly, the troubles and all that, you surmounted all of them. And today you are listening to some of these people who vehemently opposed the system, indicate that, yes, it's indeed been very helpful. What was your assessment initially?
Good evening, and thank you, Ken. Let me first of all bring greetings from the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority and from our very hard-working Commissioner of the Customs Division, and the Icoms team, which is out of Accra as we speak, deploying the system as best as we know how to. It's been 1 year of challenges, but there has been some modest gains, and we find fulfillment in what has transpired so far. I must, however, admit that there is still a lot of work to be done, and so there is no room for complacency or a sense of, having achieved everything. We started with the deployment originally with the outstations, the customs frontier stations, in March of 2020, where we deployed in places like Elubo, Aflao, Paga, Hamile, Kulungugu, and continued to the TAKORADI collection in April of 2020. Then we onboarded the KIA the same month of April. Then in May we went into the petroleum management for the Icoms. And then finally, from the 1st of June 2020, we deployed in Tema and at the Accra collection. And the first month was what a Frenchman would say, very bouleversant, very troubling and challenging. But God indeed has been good to us. And with the cooperation of, all the stakeholders, I must take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the stakeholders who took a lot of pain to contain the situation together with us and offer very constructive criticism and help, for us to fine-tune our act in the first, few months of deployment. And as we speak today, I can say that the situation which, we experienced a year ago cannot be said to be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let me come to you, Mr. Che. You are those that are using the system. What is your assessment of Icoms 1 year down the line?
Thank you very much, Ken. Initially, we had very genuine complaints about the system. Our complaints basically was about the way it was being implemented. I'm sure you might have heard of press conferences, statements here and there, opposing the way it was being implemented. Yeah, our beef was that the transitional period wasn't well organized. After it had been postponed for on about 3 different occasions, finally, when it was being implemented, there were still a lot of potholes in between. We are not, well, we were not against Icums. And for that matter, freight forwarders do not also have the option as to what type of system the government may even decide to bring into place. We may criticize, we may give suggestions as to how it should be implemented. And secondly, we also don't have the powers to tell government that going for company A or company B. As far as we are concerned, if the system is good, if the system is well organized and we will also benefit and the government will also benefit, why not? We will go in on all out for it. So our major concern was the way it was being transited from GCNet to Icums. That was where our major problems. Yes, but I must also say that Icums initially had problems. And we also did our best to criticize, suggest, and we cooperated massively with them to see the system as we have now. So I'm sure they might have also appreciated the fact that our criticisms were not for no reason. Whatever we said at those times were things that we said to make the system better. And we are also happy that at least as at now, the system is far, far, far better. As at now, we are very, very proud to say that the system has produced a processing time, clearance time, even within a day or less. You should be able to clear a consignment from the port. Previously, the best time would have been maybe 3-5 days. Yes, but now, all things being equal, you should be able to clear a consignment in a matter of hours.
Okay, so what you're saying is that because you have used these systems that have been deployed so far, throughout your career at the ports, and you are using the current system, and your assessment or your verdict on Icoms is that it supersedes all those other systems that you have used.
Definitely supersedes all other systems. From the manual system on Sekuda, GCNet, up to what we have here, is the best system now. And I think every freight forwarder will attest to this. Before I even came here, I had some conversations with freight forwarders. I had interviews with them. I called them at random to give me a very candid opinion of what the system is now. And the overwhelming verdict is that Icoms is doing marvelously well, even though we haven't gotten there yet. But then what we have now is quite good. And we are very happy about it. And we are still talking to them. We are still making suggestions as to how to make the system better. For example, payment of duties. As at now, you can pay duties far ahead of the arrival of the vessel.
Okay.
So if you have the money sitting down in your account doing nothing, you may decide that, look, even 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and all my documents are ready, I've gone for my assessment, I can even pay the duty. Now, what advantage do I have? The major advantage the importer has is that he may even avoid the increment of the rate of exchange.
Okay.
For example, if this week was 5.6, the following week could be 5.8. Yeah. So if you pay your duty now, you are off the hook.
Right.
Now, the advantage to the government too is that whilst even the vessel is not in, we haven't even cleared the goods, the government has access to the money from the importer.
Right.
We are not, the importer doesn't have to wait and keep the money in his bank account or in his house and wait till the arrival of the vessel before he pays the duty. Sure. So he can even give the money to the government. Government, take my money. Use it even before the arrival of the vessel, even before I clear my goods. Yeah. Make use of the money 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even 1 month before the vessel arrives. Right. So I think in these lines, the Icums system is marvelously doing very well. Aside electronic e-processing. Yeah. E-processing, you can even sit in your office and do everything. You can even sit even in your car and do your processing outside the country. You can still do your processing. Yes, and we also have the one-stop shop. You don't have to be opening too many windows. Just a window should be able to help you go through your processing. I think that Icoms has done marvelously well, and we must congratulate them as at now.
Right. Yes. Okay, so let me come to you, Mr. Ohen. One of the cardinal reasons for which you rolled out Icoms was the fact that people thought that it would seal loopholes and then enhance compliance levels. Has this been achieved?
In a very modest way, yes. We can attest to that. You know, one of the engines of the whole system is to have a very robust cargo management system. And then the system also has encouraged voluntary compliance. And so once, you know, there is voluntary compliance, it's much easier to get the system to flow and ensure that, you know, loopholes that would hitherto have been, you know, created are now blocked. I can cite one simple example. In the area of, you know, reliefs and exemptions, for instance, before the commencement of Icoms, you had something we called a user-defined way of, you know, processing your exemptions and your reliefs. Now, the system now configures the exemptions and reliefs to your tax identification number. So if you are not entitled to a relief from your tax identification number, you cannot, you know, have that kind of relief. And that is a very major, you know, area where, you know, we have been able to, you know, block some loophole. Right. Again, in the area of compliance, you know, management, because the community that is operating the Icoms now is a port community, what institution A is doing can easily be verified by institution B. So there is a level of transparency that ensures that all the players involved are on the same page. So in a very, you know, to a very large extent, I will say that the loopholes have been, you know, closed, and some are still being in the process of, you know, we are still developing the system to ensure that we can reduce to the barest minimum the incidences of fraud. Yeah.
All right, so let me still stay with you and find out from you what the level of coverage is. You just intimated to us in your opening submission that you were on your way up north, you know, to roll it out in parts of the north. What's your coverage now countrywide, and where is left for you to cover?
Thank you very much. Let me first mention that prior to the deployment of Icoms, we had automation for customs not covering 60% of the country. As we speak today, Icoms' presence is in the Volta region from Aflao to Boglo to Akanu to Nive Honutashia, Batume Junction, Petoi Patrol Base, Menuso, Lake Libidafo. Some of these stations had no presence of automation until deployment. A fresh region like Oti region, now Icoms presence is felt in a distant office like Tinjase, which is the northernmost part of what used to be the Volta region. It's now Oti region. There's Icoms presence in Dambai. Okay, as we speak to date, the team that is en route to the Upper East, we have Icoms presence in Paga, in Kulungugu. By the end of this week, God willing, Icoms would have been onboarded in Pulimakum, in Namu, in Mognori. This is in the Upper East region, and in Zebila.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, God willing, I'll be in the Upper West region. We are onboarding stations which already have the Icoms presence, but they have not started, they have not been activated yet, like Bole, like Tumu. We already have Icoms presence in Hamile, Tumu, and Laura. Okay, so when you come down to the what is now being divided into Bono, East and West, you have Icoms presence spanning from Sampa, from Nkrankwanta, Atuna, Yakrum, Osai Kojokrom is the western north region. A team is en route to Osai Kojokrom now to onboard the stations. If you look at the totality of offices that Icoms is onboarded so far, we have done close to 93% of the country. And you have stations which had never seen any form of automation now collecting revenue in the Icoms. And this is a very big plus because now we're able to account for every revenue in the Icoms from some of these stations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Che, let me come to you so that once we take your submission, we'll go and then we'll listen to the Commissioner General, his assessment of the implementation of Icoms 1 year on. Now, you made mention of the fact that you can sit in your office and transact business as far as the system is concerned. Yes. And I want to find out from you whether you think that that has served as a check on you, the practitioners, freight forwarders, in terms of using the service, because one of the cardinal reasons was that under invoicing, and all those things took place in the previous system. Now you have used the system and you have, attested to the fact that it's the best so far. Has that served as a check on you for you to do the right things to ensure that compliance levels are enhanced?
Thank you very much once again. The average freight forwarder will love that the system is so clean that the government, so to speak, is maybe not be harassing us. Day one, there's a commissioner order, all agents should do this, day two, tax force 1, tax force 2, and all that. Maybe the government may not be getting the revenues targeted, and there could be leakages in the system. But I can assure you that the average freight forwarder will love that. The system is so smooth, so clean, and that the concentration shouldn't be on whether you have to steal containers from the port, but then to have to manage your resources, to manage your staff, to maximize profit for your company. So, as a freight forwarder, we are all delighted for the fact that when the system is so clean and it blocks so many avenues of leakages, we have some quiet time and we have some very serene atmosphere to do our work. So the average freight forwarder is quite happy about the system. That some areas, for example, previously we have been having problems with containers as is getting missing at the port. At times, even when the containers even are dropped from the vessels, but by the time you say, Jack, where are you? It's out of the port.
Yeah.
Now,
I think this is a topic we'll have to discuss seriously one of these days, because containers just getting missing from the port like that. There seem to be some.
But there is sanity in the system now.
Yes.
There is sanity in the system now. It's quite almost impossible even for a container to get out of the port without going through the right process.
Yeah.
And it gives us some sort of peace at the port. Immediately there is an issue, there are so many regulations and so many laws that will bind everybody. But then when things are in the right process now, as it is now, we have some peace. So I think that we need again to congratulate them for that particular section of container location at the port there. It's quite now very easy. Even before the vessel arrives, you have your manifest, you know how the containers would be dropped, and the containers being transported from the shipyard to the terminals go through a process. Goes to quite some process of submission and approval, approvals, so that it's very difficult for any container to get out of the way. So it makes things quite easy for us. Secondly, to automation. Automation comes with it some sort of compliance and sort of So if the system is quite automated and we have this e-processing system, it's very difficult for us to say in the under-invoicing, over-invoicing, fraudulent way. At times, even people have to fraudulently clean CCVRs and documents, BOEs and all of this. Now you can't do that. When you submit a document, you don't have access to the document again. It goes through a system, and the next customs officer can access it through the system. So you don't have any access to even make any changes. If you need to make changes, it has to go through a proper official process. So there's no way for some of these things to be colluded with. But so I must say that we are happy about the system. We are happy that fraudulent means of clearing goods, I won't say completely out, but it has been minimized. And it makes the port quite a peaceful place for all of us.
Business. All right. So when I come back to you, Mr. Yauchi, I would be finding out from you in terms of cost, whether you have seen any reduction in cost of doing business as far as this system is concerned. But for now, let's go and then listen to what the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority told us as far as his assessment of the implementation of Icoms 1 year on is concerned.
I must say that we don't regret one moment at all for the implementation of Icums at the ports of Ghana. In terms of the coverage, we have seen substantial improvement in terms of the speed and efficiency at the ports, and we expect that we'll continue to see more of such improvements. We have seen the opportunity for people to do the manifest and even put things there even before the ships arrive, and therefore the time it takes them to go through from the declaration to the end of the process and to clear their goods have been reduced significantly. And previously, if we were able to do 48 hours, then it was like you have done something extraordinary. Today, the 48 hours has become the norm. In fact, people can even do less than 48 hours. But previously, for you to do 48 hours is like a miracle, but it's not happening like that today. In terms of tracking, there's more effective tracking that we have today than we have previously. And when we come also to revenues, we have seen a significant increase in revenue. If you take the average revenue before, say, June 2020, on the average, we are doing about 800 to 900 million per month in terms of the revenue that we were getting. From then up to today, if you look at the average, we are doing on average about 1.3, 1.4 billion per month. So which shows that we are doing about 300 to 400 million monthly. And I always tell people that if you multiply the 300 to 400 million per month for 12 months, you're already talking about more than almost 6 billion of revenue addition just for 1 year. We have done our own analysis. We have looked at the CI values of the things that are coming through. We have looked at the volumes of imports and exports to see whether there are any significant increases in those areas. But we haven't found that there has been any significant increases in those areas. Therefore, clearly, there is about 3 areas that we can look at, that there are leakages that have now been sealed, and therefore you get more revenues coming through. Number 2, with the efficiency that we are having, you are likely to have some sort of more diversions in terms of people trying to use our ports more than the other areas. Though, as I said, if you look at the figures, those increases are not very, very significant, though there is some amount of increase in terms of the CI values of the ones that come through. and therefore that also has contributed significantly to the revenues. Furthermore, I also want to say that, when we're doing the implementation of Icums, we had to look at all the stakeholders. We had to look at the shipping agents, we had to look at the shippers themselves, we had to look at the clearing agents, we had to look at the various parastatal government organizations, and we involve all of them in the implementation. And it's because the Icums is a community system, the port system, that ensures that everyone who has a role to play as far as the system is concerned or the ports are concerned are part of it. And therefore it becomes very, very difficult for you to be able to play one against the other, because whatever you see in one area is also seen by the other. If it's a terminal operator, what he sees is the same thing as the shipping agency or the shipping agency will see. If it is something that the terminal operator will see, GPHA will see the same thing, customer will see the same thing. And therefore it allows for effective monitoring. Unlike previously where you have various other systems that are trying to send data to one another. If you take even things like the exchange rate to look at what people have to pay, previously you have to always constantly go there and then try to find out what was the exchange rate because you couldn't clear the goods on a particular day, then how much you have to pay. This one is all online. So every day when you go, you know what exchange rate is applicable and it's applied on the system, and you don't have any disputes between a clearing agent and an importer and things like that. These have all been properly integrated into the system. So far, we are happy, but we don't rest on what we have been able to achieve because there are several modules in the system, and what we did was to implement the key standard models to begin with. And so this year we have plans to introduce other models, and the other models will include other things like effective auctioning. And our aim has been to automate this process. Within Icoms, there is the functionality, and this year we intend to be able to implement that functionality in the Icums systems. Icums have been one of the most successful initiatives that we have seen despite the initial challenges.
All right, so you welcome back. You heard the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority giving a very, very lucid, assessment of the system 1 year on. Let me come to you, Mr. Ohene. You heard the Commissioner General. He says going forward, there are going to be some other modules, and I'm particularly interested in the e-auction, where I can perhaps sit somewhere in my corner and then go online, bid for a particular item that I want that is on auction. How is it going to work? But I would want you to bring us to speed with what you think about cost of doing business. You have been with the customs for a very long time. You've seen all the models, all the systems that have been rolled out, that have been deployed. I said I'll ask Mr. Yauchi this particular question, whether as a freight forwarder, a user of the port, whether he has seen some reduction in terms of cost. But let me find out from you. Do you think that Icoms has reduced cost of doing business in the
To
ports?
a large extent, I would say yes. I would say yes because if you spend 48 hours in processing documents just to clear, and another 48 hours in the clearance process itself, and now you can spend 48 hours for the entire process, you certainly have saved cost in time, and it could also translate into finances. Okay, we have also introduced the payment systems, which now ensure that you save time in making payments from the comfort of your home. Prior to Icoms, we had only 2 participating banks. As we speak, we have onboarded 23 banks. We have the national payment platform known as the Ghana.gov, and we also have the mobile money. So the cost you would have incurred in walking to the bank or driving to the bank, and the security of, even the money. We had instances at the port where people were late and their monies they were going to, pay at the bank for custom duties were taken from them. You have cut all of these things out, certainly you would save on that. Again, because of the efforts at, having efficiency and an efficient system, it would certainly translate into saving cost and time in doing business.
Right.
So back to the issue of the e-auction. Let me just indicate that I would not only want to speak about the e-auction, but I'd like to tell you about the
other models,
other modules and innovations we have in place. But to speak about the e-auction, it is a work in progress which we hope to have rolled out by the end of the third quarter of this year. And it is simply a development where we will now fully automate the auction process. The Icoms is developing what you call a state warehouse management and an e-auction system. They are both, interlinked, because the goods that, are auctioned are normally sent to the state warehouse.
Yes.
So we are developing a state warehouse management system where uncleared cargo, what you call uncleared cargo list, the UCL list, will be fully automated, so that as and when goods are due for auction, the system will generate the processes such that once it is due for auction, it will be duly gazetted, and then there will be an opportunity for the state to rake in the revenue through electronic means of auctioning goods, so that what we see in developed economies, you can also see that here. Having said that, let me just indicate that we have recently introduced what you call the direct delivery module. What this means is that if you are clearing hazardous cargo, you are clearing bulk cargo, or you are clearing a shipload of cargo, you can take delivery ex-ship without having to send the cargo to a holding area and then take delivery out of them later.
Okay.
So the direct delivery has been recently introduced. Last week, we had an engagement with a section of the freight forwarders to introduce them to what you call a dispute resolution module as well.
Okay.
So with the dispute resolution module, we are now able to process appeals electronically by just filling a form. If you have a consignment or documents that is in dispute with valuation or classification, by just filling the form, you can process your dispute and have resolution in a matter of hours. These are all designed to ensure that we can save time in our processes. We also have the advanced passenger information systems, which is to be introduced at the airports very soon. And this is a system which integrates other systems for the security agencies such as immigration, customs, maybe the NIB at the airports, where we profile passengers and their cargo to ensure that they receive the appropriate risk, treatment for their consignments and their persons. And this advanced passenger information will share information on all cargo and passengers coming by air, so we can determine who poses a high risk or his consignment poses a high risk or not. We have also reached a very advanced stage in the introduction of what you call the authorized economic operator. This is simply one of the canons of the World Customs Organization, where the members of the trading public who are able to fulfill some spelled out conditions will have their consignments treated in a very special manner. What do I mean by the special manner? What it means is that they will have less customs interventions in the clearance process. So it is possible that your cargo can arrive at the port and you go through customs without any customs intrusion. So those who are able to comply with the authorized economic operators will have this opportunity. And it is already in a very advanced stage where some players at the port are already going through some form of testing and the like. We also have what we intend to introduce, which is known as the e-wallet. When you speak about the e-wallet, we are looking at a process where the trading public who, make overpayments to customs can have their overpayments kept in a special, application for use for subsequent payment of duties. Okay? Then we also have what, we call the postal courier service, the post offices. We are also automating the post offices. Again, we are looking at ensuring that some of these, new modules can be introduced before the end of the third quarter. And then for the transit, Ghana being a member of the ECOWAS, the ECOWAS is introducing something you call the SIGMAT, which is to develop easy passage for goods that are in transit. The SIGMAT is in the process of being integrated into the Icoms to ensure that there is a seamless, movement of cargo along our corridors to, the countries in the sub-region. When we look at the petroleum area as well, which is a very huge revenue area, Icoms is in the process of developing the petroleum stock management system, which will ensure that we can properly account for, the revenues that will accrue from the petroleum sector. And then recently, we have, automated all our activities regarding the customs laboratory. And just last week, the officers at the lab were taking through some extensive training for, us to be able to get them to work, in the system. So we have quite, a few things that we are looking at: performance management, post-clearance auditing. We are looking at how to improve and enhance these ones that have already been initiated in the system. And it is our expectation that, before the end of this year, we should see them actually not any longer as work in progress, but see them in action.
Fully operational.
Yeah, fully functional. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So whilst you were making your submission, I took down a few notes, and I counted as many as 9, close to 10, and then just added the performance management and then the post clearance.
We actually have more than 17 that are works.
So those that I have here are the e-auction. We also have the direct delivery. We have the dispute resolution module. We have the advanced passenger information system. We have the authorized economic operator, which you mentioned. We have the e-wallet. We have the postal courier services. You mentioned that we have the transit. That's the SIGMAT thing from ECOWAS that is being migrated onto Icoms. We also have the petroleum stock management system, and then you made mention of the automation of the customs lab, and then performance, management, and then we also
have some more enhancements, even for the warehousing.
And you are expecting to roll all these out before this year ends.
The truth of the matter is that most of these modules are at very advanced stages of production. And so we are hopeful that we can do this before the year ends. Yes.
All right. So let me come to you, Mr. Yauche, and take your bit. He mentioned, some of the benefits that accrues to both government and users of the port, importers and exporters, in terms of cost of doing business. He mentioned the fact that, yes, you can do things within your own proximity. You don't have to get into your car to drive to the bank to effect payment and all that. What are some of the benefits that this particular thing accrues to you in terms of cost of doing business?
Before I even go on to the cost of doing business, I would like to say that freight forwarders are quite excited about the fact that we are having e-auctioning.
Yes.
The system we are having now...
I thought you were going to mention dispute resolution.
No, we will definitely get to dispute resolution. But then, e-auctioning, we believe that it's an area that we have a lot of leakages in the system. Yes. And incidentally, it also comes from outside. The outside influence at times is just too much on the offices. For example, a vehicle that is supposed to have gone through the process with a duty payment of about 23,000 Ghana cedis, but because it is being auctioned, maybe even be auctioned at 2,000 cedis, 3,000 cedis. Our point has always been that, why don't you auction it at the level, or the minimum level of the duty involved? So if I bring, importer A brings in a vehicle, and he was not able to clear the vehicle because the duty was 56,000 Ghana cedis. And you are auctioning it, and you auction it about maybe 3,000, 4,000 Ghana cedis. To us, it doesn't make sense. So we are hoping that customs will take this into consideration and give a ceiling, a minimum ceiling for auctioning vehicles, especially in other goods. To the cost of doing business at the port and the Icums. Well, again, we are also excited that, as Mr. Ohene just mentioned, definitely when you take less time in clearing a consignment, the multiplier effect of it is quite enormous and it's quite beneficial, quite to the importers, to the agent, and to the public. If I'm able to clear a consignment within a very short time, now I run away from paying huge rent, I run away from paying demurrage charges and other time-related charges at the port there. Interest charge and state warehouse rent and all of this. So I think that the fact that we are even clearing consignments within a shorter time tells you that, yes, we are saving costs and we are making huge savings in those areas. Now, instead of running through the banks, running to Bank A or going to a long room or going to a point of payment, now you can sit in the comfort of your office or even in your house and do this internet banking. You can easily pay duties online. And there is absolutely no cost involved. Maybe you pay your electricity bills and that. It doesn't matter much. Yes, there's absolutely savings also there. And the security involved too. You don't have to be carrying monies from here, from your office to the various, to the previously 2 banks. Now, as many banks as possible. Yes,
so which I wanted to say that I know this particular arrangement would be sad news to the 2 original banks that you were using because they enjoyed some kind of monopoly. But this is for the greater good of
for the greater good of the country. So I'm not sure they'll be sad. They should be happy that everybody is
they are
coming
still
on
in
board.
the business as well, so they've not been excluded.
Sure. All right.
The only problem at times to a freight forwarder is that you need to open as many, join as many banks as possible. Previously, we were joining Bank A, B, C. Now it's better to have links with maybe 3 or 4, 5 or 6 banks, which at times it's not the best. Anyway, so even in terms of staff appointment or retention, I've just realized that some of our offices are even overstaffed.
Right.
By the introduction of the Icoms, you realize that this is the job you could have done with 3 staff members, or this is a job that we are executing with 3 staff members. And you realize that about 3, 4 or 5 staff members virtually maybe idle, not doing nothing, because effectively, when they sit behind their computers,
some of them were those that would take the money to the bank, the checks to go and pay in.
At times, you have to employ somebody to be carrying documents from desk A to desk B. You have to employ somebody to go into the bank. You have to employ somebody to be moving documents from the shipping lines to the terminals and all that. All those employees are now a bit redundant. You can just employ only 1 person or 2 persons to do all these jobs.
Just by sitting behind the laptop or the PC and then deliver.
So it's an area we are also even saving costs, but temporarily now we are not saving costs because we've already loaded them onto our staff, and it's very difficult to let them go home. But eventually, I'm not sure we'll be able to have to employ so many people as we've done previously. And secondly, why do you need big offices? Why do you need big accommodation? You don't need it. You just have a small 12 by 12 room with 2 or 3 computers. If you have your laptops or your tablets, you should be able to carry these things and be executing your jobs from time to time. In terms of material costs, previously to printing, when you have about 200 items on a particular bill of lading, you need to print all these on the A4 sheets. Of course, the stationery shops are also crying. They are not getting their money now.
But now you're dealing with soft copies, so
just the soft copies, just in the system. That's all. So we don't need. We are also saving a lot of costs in various offices where I spoke to.
Stationery.
They are also saving a lot of costs in terms of stationery. We don't have to be buying so much A4 sheets now. So we also gone down on that, and I think all these things will result in make some savings and making some money. That's why we are all happy about.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Can I just add one thing to what your chair had already said?
Yes, Mr. David.
One of the most popular, modules we have is called the pre-manifest declaration. And just like he mentioned earlier, you are able to, go through the processes of documentation prior to the arrival of the vessel.
Yes.
And this has enabled, very serious businesses to plan, with their resources, how to run their business, because you have prior opportunity to plan how to pay duties and have, subsequent payments effected later. And that is a very popular one that about 70% of freight forwarders are taking advantage of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But incidentally, whilst you are also trying to save so much cost, the shipping lines are also adding so much cost to
you,
doing business.
Absolutely. That one is another
cleaning costs and the additional costs and all that,
Yes.
additional costs. I mean, these are quite negating the good effects of the Icums system and what the government even wants to achieve.
We'll call them in one of these days and have a discussion if my bosses approve and give me the go-ahead. Yeah. But let's go and take a look, listen to the Operations Director of Ghana Link Network Services and see what he has to say about 1 year of implementation of Icums.
1 year has come so very quickly. It was only yesterday when we started the rollout of Icoms from the selected frontier stations to besides Aflawo collection, Lubo, Hamile, as far as the deployment. That was on the 1st of March. Then on the 1st of April, we deployed the system in TAKORADI. TAKORADI is a relatively smaller port, so if we have to be ready for Tema, we needed to be okay with TAKORADI. So we deployed in TAKORADI on the 1st of April. Towards the end of April, we deployed the system at the airport. And then by May, we deployed the system for management of the downstream petroleum sector. And then by the 1st of June, we deployed in Tema, which is the largest collection point for customs. And I would gladly say that we've come very far, and as a company, Ghana Link Network Services Limited, we are very proud of ourselves with what we've been able to achieve over the short period of time. Over the period, we have effectively been able to create a port community system with the Icom system that we have provided, and all the stakeholders who are involved in the supply chain are all connected with their various individual systems also being effectively connected to Icoms, and therefore there is communication between all the players. Currently, as we speak, the true paperless port is in operations at our various ports. Declarants would not have to be moving around anymore. All their activities are done on the system, even with regards to the shipping lines, the airlines, their payments. It's all interconnected. The only physical movement declarants have to make is to go take delivery after examination of the cargo, to take delivery of the cargo from the port. And all the players, all the MDAs who are involved in the licensing, permits, others with regards to import and export, they are all connected to the system, and the system is running very smoothly. In fact, stakeholders will confirm that the cost and time of doing business has largely reduced. And the GRA and government will also confirm that revenues have increased since the deployment of Icoms from June, and there are records to show. So we are very proud of what we've been able to achieve, and we also would like to say thank you to all the stakeholders. It has been a collaborative effort, right from the government, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, GRA, the various stakeholders at the port, Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, the MPS, and a host of them. They've all, in no small way, contributed to what we have currently, which I could confidently say can compare favorably with any systems being used in the advanced countries when it comes to the clearance of goods at the ports. We are done with the phase one. We've deployed a number of modules. Single window, as I've mentioned, the clearance management module, the cargo management module, the risk management module, a few others. We are currently working, and we are at very advanced stages on the phase two modules. And they are very interesting models. We have one which is the Advanced Passenger Information System. This is mainly for the airport, and it is supposed to be used in profiling both passengers and cargo to ensure that security-wise, and then when it comes to duties and taxes-wise, the right things are being done. So the APIs is for the airport. Another very interesting module we are introducing is the e-wallet. So in some instances, declarants or importers make payments and for duties and taxes, and sometimes they overpay. So what we are doing is to provide a feature where such declarants can use this overpaid amount to defray subsequent imports. So that is basically what we'll be doing for the e-wallet. By the time we are done with the deployment of all the modules on Icoms, our stakeholders would even be more comfortable and they will be happier. The processes will be smoother, and Ghana will be a beneficiary, in the long run.
All right, so you heard Roger Maglo, who is the Director of Operations for Ghana Link Network Services. They are operators of the Icom systems at the ports, and you heard his verdict there as well. This is the juncture we would like to activate the phone lines for you to call in. The number to dial is 020-5528-353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and ask my guests some questions. They'll be ready and willing to oblige you. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Ohene. With the rollout of these new models, are you going to have some form of sensitization and education for the stakeholders, the freight forwarders, and all the other stakeholders that you work with?
Thank you very much, Ken. Certainly we will. I just mentioned that we introduced the direct delivery and the dispute resolution only last week. And before this deployment, we had engagements with the freight forwarders. And the teams that have been deployed out are currently in places where they are engaging with the freight forwarders. One team returned from the Upper East region about a week and a half ago.
Right.
And let me mention that every deployment we do at the outstations, we have as members of the Icoms team, freight forwarders, who are an integral part of the Icoms deployment teams. And so every external engagement includes freight forwarders who, not only come in as observers, but they participate in the actual training and the deployment.
Right.
And what we need to know is that
Mr. Deputy Commissioner, let me interrupt you a bit. Let's go onto the phone line. Let me interrupt you a bit. Let's go onto the phone lines and speak to John Alassan from Sakumon. I won't come back. You will continue with the submission. Good evening, Mr. Alassan.
Yes, evening, Mr. Host.
We are grateful to you for calling in. What's your question, sir?
Yes, I want to add my voice into the Icoms.
Okay.
Yes, but this man, Yao Che, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he actually, displayed the level of intelligence. And the Deputy Director Commissioner.
Deputy Commissioner, yes.
Yes, but you see, you see the custom side. The Icoms actually work very well, but that was yesterday. Some of the custom officers are not doing good to support the system. As I speak to you, yesterday some of the agents did not get the cable and then device to mount on the truck for the truck to be cleared.
Transit.
They were actually frustrated.
Okay.
So the custom man should make sure they put their eye on ground to monitor the people. Some of them are actually sabotaging the system. You see, it's hard time we get rid of those people and then Ghana move on. So it's actually educated program. So the custom man, they actually have a lot to do.
Okay.
But Icums is actually working perfectly.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. John Alasan from Sakumono. We're grateful to you for your time. Remember, you can also call 020-552-8353. We're glad to pick your calls. Mr. Ohene, he said some of your men seem to be sabotaging the system. He just gave a typical example of yesterday.
Let me thank him for his contribution and the revelation he's just mentioned. It's important to mention that every introduction of any new system does not automatically warrant a buy-in.
Right.
Indeed, we are in the process of having change management, nationwide, and it's a constant, thing we are doing to ensure that we can have not only the buy-in from our external stakeholders, but from our officers as well. It is not very easy to migrate from one system somebody has used over a long period of time into a new system, even though the new system has more advantages to offer.
Right.
But we are in the process of doing a lot of change management. And in the last 1 month, we've had such engagements in Tema for customs officers on change management, on understanding the full operations of the system. It is a continuous training and continuous change management we're doing. We just finished with the airport 2 weeks ago, and now we are engaging the freight forwarders at the airport. So just to support what he's saying, indeed we are in the process of fine-tuning the officers' appreciation of the workings of the Icoms. Speaking on the e-tracking as well, because he mentioned the e-tracking. I mentioned earlier that we have what we are about to introduce, which is more enhancements in the warehousing and the e-tracking. A team has been constituted as we speak now.
And they're working on that.
That is working on, ensuring that we can improve.
Let's go on to Mr. Deputy Commissioner. Let's go on to the phone lines and speak to Yao from Tema. Hello, Yao. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes. Please go ahead with your submission, please.
Yes. My name is Yao. I'm calling from Tema. Mr. Ohene is saying the Icoms system has reduced the leakages at the ports.
Yes.
I beg to differ with him because there are a lot of leakages in the system. The problem is, he just mentioned the other model that they are coming to implement.
Yes.
The APIS, that's the Advanced Passenger Information System. That's for the airport. Why didn't they implement that of the port, the Advanced Cargo Information? That would allow them to profile the transaction before the ship arrives. The reason why I'm saying this is that from the very good, the customs system is, in fact, it's not doing well at all, because just look at the stakeholders in the system are the shippers, the importer, the customs officer, and I think the clearing agent. You understand? You get that. And the bill of lading, it's issued by the shipping line. So I don't see the reason why they still use the manifest for validation. You understand me? The customs have their own system that they should even get in touch with their counterparts at the other side to get the clear information about, because before the good police,
there's no need for the to give us manifest. You should be able to contact it from your.
Still change.
Yeah.
Documents change. Yeah, before it gets to the port of destination.
Okay,
so
yes.
There are a lot of leakages in the system.
Right.
From where I think.
Thank you very much, Yao. Yes. Thank you very much, Yao from Tema. You've made your point. I think Yao believes that there are still a lot of leakages in the system, and he says you would have to perhaps deal with the point countries of origin in terms of manifests. I think that was what I heard him say, bills of lading and all that, instead of relying on terminals and all that. I mean, I think he's made his points, straight away.
I thank Yao for pointing these things out to us. I believe that I was quite, truthful by saying that we still are a work in progress, and I did not say that we have no leakages. But I want us to bear in mind that we have a system called the post-clearance audit
Yes.
And I mentioned a while ago that we still are looking at, bringing in some new enhancements. If you believe that you are fast enough to get out of the port with your consignment, eventually, time will catch up with you through our post-clearance audit system.
Yeah.
Because it will come to your doorstep, it will come to your premises, it will come to your home, it will come to wherever your consignment is when we are satisfied that, and I can assure you that we are seeing results from the post-clearance audit system that is actually in place now.
Right.
Because we would be not admitting the truth to say that everything is going smoothly. Okay, but we have the post-clearance system in place that is ensuring that revenues that otherwise would have been lost is being recovered, and we see letters going out every day requesting people to make payment on goods that they cleared from the port several years ago.
Right.
And so if you get away with it today, tomorrow the law will catch up with you. That's assurance I want to give him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, would you conclude your submission on the training you are organizing?
Yes, I was indicating
customs,
that. Yes.
For customs and freight forwarders and all the stakeholders.
Yes, I was indicating that the training is continuous. Any new system can only be sustained when there's continuous training. So the training is not limited to customs officers alone, but it is a training that we're offering for customs officers and all our other stakeholders. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned we were in Bolga and in Paga, and we had the engagement with not only the customs officers, but after the engagement with the officers, we also had another engagement with the freight forwarders. Right. And it's important to bear in mind that the input we receive from them helps us to map out better ways of improving our operations. Right. As I speak with you, the direct delivery and the dispute resolution modules that we recently introduced, we had extensive input from the freight forwarders who are members of the Icoms team, to the extent that even in the delivery of the training, we involved the freight forwarders. And so we are not resting on our oars and sit back and relax to think that we have arrived. We have a lot of training we're doing, and I mentioned it earlier. We have 3 teams as we speak now en route to Osekojo Chrome, Bolga collection, and Wa collection. The engagements there are to ensure that we can continue to train not only the officers but the stakeholders who are located in all these sites. So it's a very paramount position that we have adopted to ensure that training will be constant and it will continue even when the system is fully functional.
Yeah. All right. So let me come to you, Mr. Yauche. He indicated that the system is working all right. Everybody thinks that it's good. But you are those that are using the facility. Are there any other loopholes, or any other challenges that you've identified that you think that going forward they should address? And 1 year down the line, they say they're going to be introducing further modules to enhance the system. What are your expectations?
1 year down the line, some officers, and in fact, in some cases, not even officers, but some of the port authorities keep on demanding or asking for hard copies.
Some of the port authorities?
Yes.
Okay.
1 year down the line, GPHA is still issuing manual invoices. 1 year down the line, GPHA has not responded to e-payments.
Have you told you that GPHA has rolled out e-payments? We have it now.
It is not in the system.
It's
no,
working.
it's not working.
It's working.
It is not working.
Okay.
Mr. President, it's not working.
It is. It is. It's working.
E-payments.
E-payments
as
is working. As Momo, including Momo, it's working.
Anyway,
the adverts are all over the place. In fact, we would have to.
The adverts are over, but it's not working.
It's working. It's working in the
system. If it is working, that's very good news. Yes, we are very happy about that.
In fact, go and try it, and you'll succeed.
Okay.
It will be successful, yes.
That's very good. We are happy that they now joined the majority and that they are also using e-payments. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
1 year down the line, I think that we still have the promises of examination officers using tablets to release unfilled have not been fulfilled. Initially, we saw them with the tablets, but then as at now, all these tablets have vanished.
That's in respect of customs?
Customs, yes. We were made to believe that on the field, they would just input it on their tablets and just release the consignment even wherever the examination has been conducted.
Right.
But as at now, you need to go and sit down with them in the offices to go and use their desktop computers.
Right.
But we thought that we were going to use tablets to facilitate clearance. 1 year down the line, we also believe that the time between arrival of vessels and marching of containers need to be reduced. There's a lot of steps that you need to go through. Maybe for security reasons, for very good reasons, they need to monitor these containers, which we are in. We agree with them 100%. But then, here's a situation an importer may call that, yes, the container has arrived on the 31st of May. So I expect that the next day, touting the very good parts of Icoms, he expects that container arrives on 31st. On the 1st of June, the container should be out. We all know how Icoms is now working very well now. But then, in some cases, you realize that marching becomes a problem.
Right.
At times, it takes 2-3 days before the containers are marched, especially when the containers have to be transported from the port to terminals outside the port, other than aside MPS. It becomes a problem. At times, it takes a much longer time. I think that we need to reduce that time of marching.
All right.
And I also think that 1 year down the line, help desk is also not working very effectively now. Yes, our help desk, the Icoms help desk is almost non-existent. Yes, we are expecting a very vibrant help desk 24 hours because the port is working 24 hours. Anytime you call them, they should be able to respond to your calls and resolve some of these problems for you.
They are watching, so I'm sure they will take it in good faith. So I will say thank you to you. Let me just take a few messages and then we'll wrap up because we have barely 1 minute to go. This one says, the main reason why forwarders objected to Icoms was as a result of how it was implemented. Declaration in GCNet should have been allowed to be completed, and at the same time, GCNet inactivated. You said at a period where forwarders could only submit new documents in Icoms. Because this was not done, a lot of consignees lost huge sums of monies to D&D, storage charges, etc. And at the end, the state equally lost some revenue, as well as because so many shipments were cleared at the ports manually out of the system to free up MPS. This one says, good evening. He can say they will auction goods from the port. Why wouldn't they reduce the price for the owner to be able to clear his or her goods? And this one says, good evening. Kindly ask Mr. Ohene, what are they doing about assignment delays? It takes weeks to get assessments. However, when an agent gives the documents to CTBS officer, it takes less than 5 hours to receive the assignment. Well, I think that Mr. Ohene would give you that response in our abridged version. So make a date on Wednesday and get that response. We would like to draw the curtain tonight on the show. This has been Eye on Port. I've been in the studios with Mr. Emmanuel Ohene, who is the Deputy Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority in charge of suspense regimes. He's also the Chairman of the Icoms Implementation Committee. And Mr. Yao Che, who is the President of the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG. He's also an astute trade forwarder with several decades of experience. My name is Kennedy Mona. Remember, the abridged version of the show will be aired on Ghana Television on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Make a date. And remember, God willing, we shall bounce back here with another edition of the show. Good evening.